What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 recent returns that I just got back in the mail, and we're just going to jump right into these. And the first one is a return from former Oakland A's pitcher Chris Codiroli on 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first thing I want to point out about Chris's cards here is this is actually a card of Doug Jones, and it features Doug Jones on the back, but that is actually a picture of Chris on the front, and Chris actually signs that. And Doug Jones is no longer with us, so he passed away due to COVID, if I'm not mistaken. So rest in peace, Mr. Jones. But let me tell you about Chris Codiroli and his career in baseball. Chris Codiroli was actually selected in the first round, 11th overall in 1978, from San Jose City College by the Detroit Tigers. Chris would be assigned to the Tigers single-A affiliate and would finish the year in their double-A affiliate, posting a 9-8 record in 26 starts that year in 1978. In 1979, some injury issues just limited to just 8 games that year, where he posted a 2-3 record. In 1980, he would appear in 11 games, splitting time between single-A and double-A for the Tigers affiliates. After the 1980 season, he would go into spring training with the Tigers. However, the Tigers decided to part ways with him and released him on April 3rd, 1981. Chris would then sign as a free agent with the Oakland A's. Chris would spend the 1981 season appearing in 21 games, posting a 3-2 record for the Oakland A's Double-A affiliate. Well, the following year, he would have a breakout season with the Oakland A's. Starting out in Double-A, he would be promoted to Triple-A, and his overall record in 1982 was 16 wins and 4 losses with a 2.03 ERA in 28 games, 22 of those being starts. Well, because of his success in 1982, the Oakland A's decided to call him up on September 11th, 1982. He would get 3 starts to finish out the year in 1982 with the Oakland A's, and he would post a 1-2 record in those 3 starts. Well, the following year, in 1983, he was given a spot in the starting rotation with the Oakland A's. He would respond, appearing in 37 games, 31 of them as a starter, and posting a 500 record of 12-12 for the Oakland A's in 1983. Well, despite having a pretty solid season, he was kind of put in 1984, he was kind of put in the long reliever / spot starter situation. And he started 14 games that year, appearing in 28 overall and posting a 6-4 record. Well, in 1985, he would again get a shot at the Oakland A's rotation, and he would actually start 37 games in 1985, which was a season high record for starting pitchers that year. That year, his record would go to 14-14, again a 500 season. Well, in 1986, he would come back as a starter. However, he would appear in just 16 games that year due to some injury issues. Imagine that. He started 37 games the year before and got injured the next year. Well, after the 86 season wrapped up, he started the 87 season and posted just a 3-3 record. In 1987, the A's sent him down to Triple-A for the majority of the season. He could not find his form in Triple-A and posted just a 2-7 record with the 6.12 ERA and 18 starts in Triple-A to finish out the year. Well, after the 87 season, he was granted free agency by the Oakland A's. He signed with the Cleveland Indians. The Indians gave him a shot in their bullpen, and he appeared in 14 games that year in 1988 for the Indians, but his record was 0-4 with an ERA of 9.31. After the 88 season, he was released, and in 1989 did not pitch. After sitting out the 89 season, he would resurface as a free agent with the Kansas City Royals. He would appear in just 6 games for the Royals that year, but would spend the rest of the season in Double and Triple A for the Royals in 1990. After the season concluded, this would be his last time in the major leagues, and he would sign a 1-year deal with the Baltimore Orioles and would appear in 12 games in 1991 for Orioles affiliates in Double A and Triple A. Over an 8-year career, Chris's record was 38 wins and 47 losses with a 4.87 ERA. He pitched 6 years with the Oakland A's and then just had stints with the Royals and the Indians. So, again, just wanted to mention this is him on the front of the card, even though it is a Doug Jones card. He does have some junk wax era cards that are out there, so these are pretty readily available. So we'll move on to the next one. All right, this next one is a return from New Jersey native himself, Rick Cerone, on 1 of 1. Mr. Cerone only signs 1 item through the mail, so make sure you pick which one you want. If you send more than 1, sometimes he just doesn't return the other cards, or sometimes he just picks one that he signs and returns them. So I like personally the 86 Topps Traded set, so I sent my 86 Topps Traded. But let me tell you about Rick Cerone and his journeyman career as a catcher in baseball. Rick Cerone, a New Jersey native, played his high school baseball and football at Essex Catholic High School in New Jersey. From there, he moved to nearby Seton Hall University, where he played baseball for the Pirates under legendary head coach Mike Shepard. Cerone was drafted by the Cleveland Indians with the 7th overall pick in the first round of the 1975 draft. Later that year, after signing his professional contract with a brief stint in the minors, he made his major league debut on August 17, 1975, pinch hitting for legendary hitter Boog Powell. He later would replace Alan Ashby as the catcher in that game. Overall, he finished the season playing in 7 games for the Indians, batting .250. The following year, in 1976, Cerone saw very little action at the major league level, and he batted just .125 in his brief stint up with the major league club. After the conclusion of the 76 season, he was then dealt to the Toronto Blue Jays for hitter Rico Carty. Cerone joined the Blue Jays for their expansion season in 1977 and was the starting catcher for the first game in Toronto Blue Jays history on April 7th. Overall that year, he played 31 games with Toronto and batted just .200 with 1 home run and 10 RBIs. He saw more playing time with the Blue Jays in 78, playing in 88 games, hitting .223 with 3 home runs. And he split playing time with former teammate of the Indians, Alan Ashby. The Blue Jays traded Ashby after the season and named Cerone as the primary catcher for the 1979 season. Going into 1979, Cerone's catching duties saw him catch 136 games for the Blue Jays that year. He posted a batting average of .239 with 7 home runs and 61 RBIs. After that season, the Blue Jays and the New York Yankees completed a trade which sent Cerone, Tom Underwood, and Ted Wilburn to the Yankees for Damasio Garcia, Chris Chambliss, and Par Miller-Bella. Cerone joined the Yankees for the 1980 season following the death of catcher Thurman Munson the year before. In his first season with the Yankees, Cerone batted .277 with 14 home runs and 85 RBIs in 147 games. He actually finished 7th in the American League MVP voting that year. Defensively, Cerone led the American League as he threw out 57 attempted base attempts, which was a league best 51.8% that season. In his first playoffs in the major leagues, Cerone hit .333 with a home run and 2 RBIs. However, the Yankees were eventually swept by the Royals in just 3 games. Cerone's production dipped in 1981 as he hit just .244 with 2 home runs in 71 games. Going into the 82 season, he kind of had an off-season tiff or during-season tiff with then-owner George Steinbrenner, and he split time with Butch Weiniger for the Yankees' catching duties that season. Cerone's production continued to drop in 1983 as he hit just .220. In 1984, He became the backup catcher to Weiniger, appearing in just 38 games that year and batting .208. After the 1984 season, he was then dealt to the Atlanta Braves. Cerone spent the 85 season with the Braves, splitting time with Bruce Benedict as the Braves catcher. Cerone appeared in 96 games, hitting .216 with 3 home runs. After the conclusion of the 85 season, Cerone was then traded to the Milwaukee Brewers for Ted Simmons. So that's how he became a Brewer, for Ted Simmons. Cerone played the 86 season with the Brewers, and he and Charlie Moore shared the catching duties, and he appeared in 69 games and batted .259 that year. After the conclusion of the 86 season, he became a free agent and would return to the New York Yankees. He would spend the 1987 season with the Yankees. He would go back into the Yankees in 1988. However, they decided to release him in early April after the season started. Cerone was able to sign on with the Boston Red Sox later in 1988, became a primary catcher in 84 games for them that season. He returned in 1989 to the Red Sox, and they released him after the season ended. Now, in 1990, he decided to come back to the Yankees now for a third time, as he was signed to a 2-year contract, and Cerone would back up catcher Bob Guerin. Cerone only spent the 1990 season with the Yankees despite signing that contract, as they released him in 1991. Well, he just moved across town and signed with the New York Mets and spent the 1991 season with the Mets. After the Mets let him go on free agency, he then signed with the Montreal Expos. He spent most of the 1992 season with the Expos, however they decided to release him on July 16th. Overall, for his career, Rick Cerone caught from 1975 to 1992 in the major leagues. Cerone finished his career with a .245 batting average, 998 career hits, 59 home runs, 436 RBIs, and 1,329 games. He played in 17 career playoff games over his career. After his retirement, he worked as a color analyst on the Yankees telecasts on WPIX from 96 to 97. And he also worked for the Baltimore Orioles on HTS in 1998. I did not know this, but according to his Wikipedia page, Cerone founded the New York Bears of the minor league club Independent Atlantic League in 1998. He sold the team in 2003. So, one more interesting note. In 1981, when he was a member of the Yankees, he wrote a song and released it called A Long Run Home. I never heard this song in my life. I don't know if it's out there or not, but I did not know that about Mr. Cerone, that he was a singer as well. So we'll move on to the next one. All right, so this final one is postmarked from Illinois. And if you remember a couple episodes back, I did an episode about journeyman pitchers. Well, I should have waited to include this guy, because this guy played for almost a third of Major League Baseball. I'm not kidding you, and I'll tell you his history here in a second. But who am I talking about? This is another 4-player card, and this is former lefty pitcher Dave Schatzeder on 4 of 4 here. And Dave Schatzeder played for a lot of teams. So let me tell you about Dave Schatzeder and his career in baseball. Dave Schatzeder originally was drafted in the 3rd round by the Montreal Expos out of the University of Denver. The lefty pitcher actually was a starter at the beginning of his career, and in his first season in 1976 started 15 games for the Expos, minor league affiliates, posting a 7-6 record. The following year in 1977, he would start out in Double-A and move up to Triple-A, and would appear in 17 games, posting a 7-5 record. Well, he was rewarded with a call-up to the Montreal Expos, and he appeared in 6 games for the Astros that year in 1977 on September 4th, finishing out the year and posting a 2-1 record. Well, in 1978, he would spend just a brief time in AAA, but would get a shot at the major leagues being a long reliever / starter. He would start 18 games, appearing in 29, posting a 7-7 record for the Expos. The following year, in 1979, he would post a 10-5 record in 32 games for the Expos, posting a 2.83 ERA. After the 79 season ended, he would be traded to the Detroit Tigers for outfielder Ron LaFleur. He would spend the 1980 season as being a starter with the Tigers, and he would follow it up in 1981 being a starter in 14 games for the Tigers as well. After the 81 season concluded, he would be traded to the San Francisco Giants from the Tigers. He would not spend a long time with the Giants and would eventually get sold back to the team that originally drafted him, the Montreal Expos, on June 15, 1982. He would finish out the 1982 season with the Montreal Expos, and in 1983 they would convert him full-time now to a reliever, and he would post an immaculate 5-2 record with a 3.21 ERA in 58 games out of the bullpen for the Expos. The following year, in 1984, he would appear in 36 games, but he would start 14 of them and would post a 7-7 record. In 1985, again, he would split time between being a reliever and a starter and posted a 3-5 record. In 1986, he would go back to being a full-time reliever for the Expos. However, on July 24th, 1986, the Expos would trade him to the Philadelphia Phillies. He would then finish out the 1986 season with the Phillies, appearing in 25 games. He would start the season in 1987 with the Phillies, but later would be traded to the Minnesota Twins. And we'll come back to that in a minute. He would win a World Series with the Twins that year. He actually won Game 6 of the World Series in 1987 for the Twins. Despite being the Game 6 winner of the 1987 World Series, the Twins decided to cut ties with him, and he signed as a free agent with the Cleveland Indians. And the Indians decided to release him after 15 games. Well, the Minnesota Twins called him back, and he returned to Minnesota, and he appeared in 10 games and posted a 1.74 ERA to finish out the year for the Twins that year. Well, despite having success again in Minnesota, the Twins decided to part ways with him, and he signed as a free agent with the Houston Astros. So that's him as an Astro right there. He would then spend 1989 and 1990 with the Astros, part of 1990, before the Astros traded him towards the end of the season in September in 1990 to the Mets. He would finish out the year with the Mets organization, appearing in just 6 games in 1990. He would then sign a free agent deal with the Kansas City Royals going into the 1991 season. He struggled a bit with the Kansas City Royals, and the Royals cut ties with him on May 29, 1991. Dan would then re-sign with the Mets and finish out the 1991 season in their AAA affiliate. So, if you were following everything I just said there, in total, he played 15 years in the major leagues. He posted a 69-68 record, so 1 win above 500. A 3.74 ERA, appearing in 504 games as a pitcher for 9 different baseball teams. So, very, very happy to add Dan to the collection. Another start of another quad card. I know Matt Keogh has passed away, so it'll be impossible for him to get, an autograph from. But very happy to add Dan to the collection, along with Rick Cerone, as well as Chris Codiroli on 404. I hope you enjoyed this episode, learning a little bit about some obscure major leaguers from the junk ball era. A lot of these guys have a lot of cards out there, so certainly look through your cards. They're great signers. Look forward to your comments below, and as always, happy collecting.